Hey, we've been talking about apartment construction. We're moving now into housing construction. There are some things to be very, very careful of. Keep watching. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to our next edition of our series on construction, residential apartments and houses and so on. And you would have seen the last three videos. We've talked about apartment construction, some of the issues with that. Now, we've had an overwhelming response. So many people coming back to us saying, thank you for the information, and they're curious with more questions and so on. And of course, it's leading on to the next phase, which is, well, if apartments are in trouble, what else is there? What other options have we got? Well, it boils down to two basic things, apartments or houses, one of the two. So to help us learn a bit more about those things, I've got, again, Stephen McCarthy, CEO with McCarthy Group, to join us. Welcome, Stephen.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay, now, Stephen, we had a great big long list of things to talk about in terms of topics regarding...
No shortage of topics around
houses
and
construction. So we can talk all day. There will be some more videos after this one, but this time we're going to cover three specific topics. The first one is this concept of a fixed price. Now, you'll see this from time to time on the internet and different places. Fixed price, what does it mean?
Okay, well, firstly, Mark, just want to woo you back a little bit. Mm-hmm. You said there's only two options, apartments and houses. Mm-hmm. So today we're going to focus on as houses, whether we own, occupy or as investors, some of the trips and traps that people find themselves in. And so we want to, we've been dealing in this space for many, many years. Mm-hmm. We've experienced virtually every trip and trap that's ever been around and more.
Done that.
And
yep.
So, we've learnt a lot. And so the purpose of doing these series of videos around this topic is to sort of just share that information.
Yes.
So if you're thinking about building a home for either owner occupied or an investor, these are some ideas or tips that could help you with a much better outcome. Let me say that.
For sure.
Yeah. So your question was?
Fixed price.
A fixed price.
So
now,
we hear this word and we see it. What does it mean?
Yeah, great fallacy.
All right.
A fallacy. It's a fixed price is anything but a fixed price. Now, of course, in the construction industry, the housing industry, a builder will generally say, you have a fixed price contract. And so that means one would be forgiven to believe that the price is fixed.
So that means the contract says $250,000.
Yep.
I'm not going to pay a cent more than that. That's it, baby.
Yeah, but in almost every case you do.
Right. Now, how come?
Well, it's a good thing because let's say it's a fixed price contract, but firstly, I think it's important for the viewers to know this, that a building contract that's provided by the building association is a one-sided document, and it's designed not to protect consumers, but protect the builder.
Right, so written by the builder to protect the builder.
Written by the building industry for the protection of the builder, not the consumer.
Okay.
Right. So the fixed price contract says, yes, it's fixed, but, and the big but is, well, if the cost of materials rise, if the cost of tradespeople rise, if we hit any unforeseen circumstances,
which
such
could
as
be soil types, drainage, rock.
The contract basically says we reserve the right to change the price should we need to change the price. So I really believe is that they should stop calling it a fixed price contract, which lulls us into a false sense of security,
It does, yeah.
and instead call it what it is. Call a spade a spade. You have a variable price contract.
Right.
What does variable mean? It means, of course,
it can vary.
Things can vary.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so there's our first little thing is watch out for those words fixed price. They don't always mean fixed price.
Yes.
Okay, what about the specifications of the componentry that goes inside of the property?
Yeah. Okay. Well, the contract normally made up of two components, and that is the overall the terms and conditions on how they will deliver the house to you,
right?
Including the cost of materials, and as we just mentioned, the variances in prices. But the second part of the contract is, well, what's going to go into the home? So, what's a roof material? What's the ceiling material? What type of tiles? Electrical goods? Virtually all those things. Even the type of landscaping. It's actually called, the name is a specification.
Specification list. So what it's designed to identify then is when I move into this property, what things should I have around me at what levels of quality? Now, of course, where can this vary?
Yeah, okay. Well, good question. So the part of the challenge around the specifications, and a lot of contracts I've seen now, that either is a house and land contract or a apartment construction contract, is that they don't name the brands.
Right.
So they'll say an air-conditioned home. Right.
Well, they might say fully air-conditioned home.
Fully air-conditioned home. Now, is that every room in the house? Is that every bedroom? Or is it simply the living areas?
Okay. So we've seen extremes, haven't we? We say fully air-conditioned home, and it's got one
air conditioner.
tiny air conditioner down the back family room, which would no way on earth reach the front of the house.
Yeah. So you would have to look at your, the plans to determine is that, well, how many air conditioners do I need, and is that actually reflecting the specifications?
Okay.
Now, staying on the air conditioning route. Now, not that long ago, myself and our building partner, we were in Canton, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now,
in China?
In China,
Yep.
Yep. Now, we had attended the Canton International Trade Fair.
Right.
Now, if you've ever been to Bunnings or Target or any store like that, and you can see really, really cheap Chinese goods, this is the home. All the manufacturers of China bring all their goods once a year to the Canton Fair, and the international buyers all turn up, and they buy it for Target and Bunnings and the like.
The like, right?
Yeah. Now, what I'm getting to here is that they're selling everything under the sun. So an air conditioning unit could come from some factory in the outskirts of China, and that air conditioning unit has only been purchased because of its price, can end up in your apartment or in your home with a brand that you've never heard of, let alone pronounce. And once that thing is out of warranty, it's got no backup or service.
Right.
So all I'm pointing out, it doesn't happen all the time, but it's just an example of specifications need to be quite specific.
So
yes.
We see similar things with not only air conditioners, but also with cooktops and range hoods and ovens, tiles, paint. Even paint can be different grades of paint. Bathtubs, showers.
The bathtub, the depth of the bathtub, the length of the bathtub. You know, you go to any store and you'll see there's a big range of differences between them. So one just needs to be then look at those specifications and get really, really clear and do perhaps some shopping around themselves to understand specifically when a brand is specified, is that the brand that you want? And if it's not specified, then you've got to go back to the builder and say, what am I going to get for my money?
Okay. Yeah. Now that leads us on to our last question, which is, well, surely, Stephen, the solicitor must know what he's talking about. Isn't he looking after me?
Well, again, unfortunately, that's another fallacy because generally speaking, what a solicitor or a conveyance does, they act on the purchase of the transfer of the title. So the title,
this is the land.
Yeah, the land title. So
nothing to do with the building.
Nothing to do with the building. So it's just that's totally separate.
Right.
And so unless they are specifically asked to eyes on and go through that contract, then they probably won't, and that's too dangerous. So you really need to have eyes on that building contract.
Right.
And I also want to bring out another important factor. Now, the other day I got sent the terms and conditions to use my Apple account. And, of course, I suppose I'm like most. I just scrolled through 27 pages to click that I accept because...
Who's going to read all that stuff?
Well, forget about it. Well, yeah, who's going to read it, number one. But secondly, so just imagine me going back to Apple and say, hey, I've got some issues with clause 2.1. Right?
Good luck with that.
Yeah, good luck with that. Right. So with a building contract, that's different. The builder wants to work. And you actually can negotiate many of these terms and conditions and seek better clarity and better transparency on exactly is what are you signing for and what are you getting for your money.
Okay.
Yeah. So no, the answer to the question, generally your solicitor won't go into that space. So it's just it's again part of this fallacy is my lawyer's going to look after that, not necessarily so.
Oh, sure, like lawyers work in big skyscrapers and have secretaries. Look at him, he's wearing a belt. That's Hollywood for you.
So I guess in summary there, we can see quite a number of challenges in regards to the quality, the what you think you might be getting issue, and of course who's checking over your shoulder. And perhaps that leads us on to the benefit of going through McCarthy Group and looking at these things, having done it for so long, having such experience in being able to read contracts, understanding what these terms, conditions mean, knowing where the balance of power is. And I guess it boils down to this one thing. If you imagine most mums and dads build one house a lifetime, and they probably hate it, But they get through that and they've now got their family home. And there they are. They'll never touch construction again.
Yeah, well, we would do, if we did one a week, that's 50 times more than the average person.
So they're going to get pretty good at it, right?
And over the years, we get pretty robust and pretty tough standards.
Right.
That,
I guess that balance of power can shift somewhat significantly if you're bringing more volume to builders rather than just the mandatory one as the family home. So keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
So there we have it, folks. Hope you've enjoyed this bit of information. Keep watching next week. We've
More
got
to come, right?
More information to come. We've got a long list of
Stuff
issues
to go
to
through,
do with construction of residential houses.
Yeah.
If you have any questions about the last 3 videos, by all means, click on the link below.
Not to mention, of course, that we have previously done a number of videos around construction-related issues.
Yep.
They're in our archives. They're the most favourite section.
You'll find them on YouTube.
On YouTube.
So if you search McCarthy Group on YouTube, click on those links, look for those. There's some really insightful interviews between Stephen and one of our builders, and it'll give you some information about just some of the tricks and traps about constructing in Australia.
Yeah, also, we're quite happy to offer, if anyone is considering building a home, either owner-occupied or investors, let us have a look at your agreement, and maybe we could just sort of give you some pointers to go back to your builder with to make sure you're getting the best from that particular opportunity.
Yeah. Well, thanks again for watching.
Hey, thank you.
Share it around. Bye-bye.
See ya.
This cut is fresh.